Adar?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Adar's coming. Well, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddishanu v'mitzvotav lehitatef b'tzitzit. Cantor, would you be so kind as to lead us in a nigun?
I need a mic. All right, this is the Shlomo Kralbach melody. La la da 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 la la da 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 la la da 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 ya la da 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 ya la da 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 ya la da 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 Now that's a joyous melody.
It is. I like that melody
For
very
Shabbat.
much. You believe in miracles, right?
Sure.
You know, sometimes you got to wait a long time for a miracle.
Yeah.
It was about 12 years ago, just after Sukkot, I took one of our etrogim, you know, that special fruit that we have on Sukkot, and I cut it open and I found a bunch of seeds in it. Well, I got little Dixie cups.
I remember.
And some soil,
Right.
and I planted seeds in them, and I watered them, and they grew little seedlings like that. So I took the kids in the preschool out to the southwest corner of our property here at the temple, and I planted them. And I tended them for, I think it was, maybe it was by Tu B'Shvat we did it. We may have done it for a Tu B'Shvat project. But I remember I had these little kids, and we planted, with me, and we planted these little etrog seedlings. Well, I watered them. I got special fertilizer for them, and I tended them. I staked them as they grew, and they grew up to be fairly big trees. I think out of the 8, I think 6 survived. And I waited year after year after year for my etrogs. And ne'er a single etrog came. So I was walking the grounds the other day, and guess what? I found, after 12 years, a single etrog.
That's incredible.
Isn't that incredible?
So incredible.
Miracles come if you're patient enough. That was my conclusion. They don't always come when you want them to come. I'd kind of given up on them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tend to those trees a little bit. Maybe we'll get. There's one blossom on one tree. A blossom means that there will be a fruit. So on one of the trees, so at least in the fall, I'll get one more.
Wow.
So I thought I would share that.
That's pretty great.
Isn't that a great story?
I like that.
Okay. Very good. Now we turn in our prayer books to page 120 for the blessing over the Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And now we turn to page 123 for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu Shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziyat Mitzrayim kivanu acharta beotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yava u'beratzo inaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
I am. And it's the real thing.
That is the real thing, yeah. Yes.
Okay, and thank you to Steve Oppenheim, who brought us some wine a few weeks ago. We appreciate that. Okay, page 128. Psalm 133, Hine Matov. You got it there, Rich? All right.
La 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 la.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine mahatov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov. We have a conductor this week. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. No faster. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Cantor, you don't need a conductor.
Didn't hurt. It was
But
good.
you know, it was fun. I was
It was fine.
Okay.
All right. All right. We're going right down the page. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. How lovely today is. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom. All right, one more song. One song down, Yedid Nefesh, Heart's Delight, Source of Mercy. Draw your servant into your arms. I leap like a deer to stand in awe before you. Yedid Nefesh Amarakaman. Yedid Nefesh Avarachamav. Meshokav Decha. Eretzonecha. Yoshokav Decha. La 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 la. Eretzonecha. Yarutz avdecha kemo hayam yishtachav elai lai 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 Emun hadareka. Page 131, we'll sing the bottom paragraph of Psalm 96. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yismechu Hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yismechu
Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Yiram hayam.
Yiram hayam.
Yiram hayam lo. Yiram hayam.
Yiram hayam.
Yiram hayam lo.
Yiram hayam.
Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam lo. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam lo.
Yismechu Hashamayim.
Hashamayim. Yismechu
Hashamayim.
Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Vetagel haaretz.
Page 138, we will sing Lecha Dodi. Tonight we will do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And we're going to do a beautiful melody that we did a few times. And the rabbi asked me, why don't you bring that melody back? We did it in the summertime. And it was written by a woman who's a cantor up in New York. I believe it's Central Synagogue, a very big synagogue up there. Ilana Arian is her name.
Okay.
And she writes beautiful music. So Richie's going to give it a little calypso feel, Rich. Lecha Dodi. adodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lekadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zakor b'dibor echad ishmianu el hamyukad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet v'leteilah lechadoti likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadoti likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lekuven elkam ki mikor habraka merosh mikedem nesuka sof ma'aseh b'makshava tekilah lekadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lekadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Hitoreri, Kiva oret, umi orim, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayik nigla. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzala tov emunei am segula boi kala Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
What would you call that beat?
Rich, what would you call that? Calypso.
It's just a calypso beat. It's a hard.
She didn't really write it as a calypso. You improved upon it, Rich.
I think you gave it a little bit of a tweak.
You gave it a South Florida
And you
feel.
know, for those of us who like cruising, You know,
Yeah.
we love to go on the cruises. We haven't been able to do it for some time.
No.
So thank you, Rich. Thank you, Manny. We
Okay.
kind of felt we went to the island.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, that's a nice melody. I like that melody.
Da.
Okay, page 140, Psalm 92, Ma Gadlu. Ma Gadlu, Mahasechaya. Me'oramku makshivoteka. Ma Gadlu, Mahasechaya.
Hallelujah.
Me'oramku makshivoteka. Ma Gadlu, Mahasechaya.
Hallelujah.
Me'oramku makshivoteka. Ma Gadlu, Mahasechaya.
Hallelujah.
Me'oramku makshivoteka. Page 142, Shalom Aleichem. I love to sing this melody every week. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barkuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yitkadav, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Gamadi v'rak kerutei v'yamlik malkutei. B'chayecho u'v'yomecho u'v'kayedecho Beit Yisrael. Bagala, u'v'zman karivim eru. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarak le'olam ulam le'yom hayam. Yitbarak, yishtabak, yitbahar, yitramam, yitnaseh, ve'yitadar, yitaleb, yitala, shemei kudeshah, le'elam min kol berchata, ve'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, Yama
V'Maru.
Amen.
We rise for the Baruch Hu. 146 in the Mishkan Tefillah. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai ha'mevorach. Barechu et Adonai ha'mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. We thank God for the evening. You know, we work at our jobs, we go to school, we struggle with the daily tasks that befall us. And at night, the sun goes down, the dust settles on the roads, on our lives, and we have time to contemplate the day that's just passed, and to take into our hearts whatever was good, and to let go of whatever stress the day has brought us. The evening indeed is a blessing, and so we thank God for the evening. We say, Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. And before we do the Shema, we think about the incredible blessing it is to be a Jew. You know, what a wonderful blessing this heritage is. It was we, not because we were a great people, not because we were a numerous people, not even because we were such a noble people. We were just, somehow, God said, you know what? I'm giving you Jews the Torah. And it's not just for you. You're going to bear witness to the moral and ethical precepts found in it. And this will give your lives incredible meaning. As to be a Jew means to have a purpose in life. So we say, Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. We rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God, who led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We continue with Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Eda B'Chodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osei Felech, Nora Tehilot, Osei Felech. Malkutecha Ra'u Banecha, Bokeya Yam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai v'lo le'olam va'ed, Adonai v'lo le'olam va'ed. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha neda b'kodesh, Torah tehilot, Osei Felech, Torah tehilot, Osei Felech.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted for a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ve'im v'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
And we rise for the Tefillah, page 166 in the Mishkan Tefillah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaHaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Dekonei HaKol, Dezocher Chazdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo,
Be'ahava.
Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch Adonai,
Magen Avraham.
Bezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei Metim, Ata Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umarit HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Elak, Melech Meimi, Umechayem,
Umatzmiach Yeshua.
Ne'emanat al hakayot metim, Baruch Adonai, Mechayei hametim.
Where might I go to find you, exalted hidden one? Yet where would I not find you, ever present, eternal one? My heart cries out to you, please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh, and we say, Amen. Please be seated. And we take a moment to thank God for all of our many blessings. Page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov, Shimcha Ulacha Na'eh Lehodot. We continue with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tatzim Leolam. Tatzim Leolam.
And Joan Robinson Kinzel, and Olivia Kasner, whose daughter
Bat mitzvah tomorrow night.
is going to have a bat mitzvah. Lily is going to be called to the Torah, and 8 other people are watching right now. And Ira is watching all the way up there in the state of Maryland. And Betsy Sherman Schneider is watching from California.
Nice.
And Rudy, Rudy's watching, Ruthie's watching too. And they say Shabbat, y'all, and happy Valentine's Day. If ever there was a loving, in love couple, it's them.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, Brent Speckler and Brent and Giselle are watching, and they say Shabbat Shalom to their temple family. And Shai, of course, is watching. Hi, Shai. And Cappy Braun is watching. And Sharon, I don't know what Sharon is watching on FaceTime for, because she's actually the one person in the sanctuary tonight. And Marlene Pinsker and Agnes and George are watching, as well as many others. Well, just take a moment or two for your own private prayers and meditations. Take a deep breath and release it.
Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Ve'imeru, amen.
Our tradition is very ancient, and yet it's very contemporary at the same time. When there are the big issues of the day, in areas that you might not think are specifically spiritual or religious in nature, Judaism often has something to say about those things. Some people are under the misapprehension that Judaism is all about rituals, like kashrut, the dietary laws, what you can eat, what you can't eat. But you know what? There are only 20 laws in the Torah regarding diet. But there are over 120 laws regarding how you should behave in business transactions. And when you think about it, that's where religion should come into play. In secular matters, and it's not just in the synagogue, but it's how do you conduct yourself in a business transaction? Are you honest? Are you ethical? In the book of Leviticus, we read, "Velo tonu ish amito." You shall not wrong one another. You shall not wrong one another. Well, the commentators over the centuries have said this applies. This law specifically was designed to encourage us to be fair and honest and ethical in the marketplace. You know, the Torah in Leviticus 19, that's the holiness code, Sedra Kedoshim, speaks about honest weights. You should have honest weights. And you remember when you, in the old days, when you wanted to buy something, the merchant would put the merchandise on one side of the scale and would put weights on the other, and that's how they determined the price. No, so the Torah is very simple. Just have honest weights. The rabbis of old said that's not enough. You should clean your weights every week. If you're a Jewish merchant, you should clean your weights and your scales every week. Why? Well, you know, you're cutting your pastrami or your corned beef all week. You know, little bits are going to fall off. There's going to be a little residue left on your weights or on the scale. And so future customers are actually going to be charged a little more because there might be a gram or two left, a little bit of residue. So be punctilious. Our tradition says be really punctilious when it comes to being honest. But honesty isn't the only thing. You should also be ethical. What's the difference? You know, there are a lot of laws in the Torah. There are a lot of laws you have in any society, but you can always get around the law. You can stretch it. You can get around it. But the Torah talks about something called lifnin mishurat hadin, which means going beyond the measure of the law, meaning be a little extra honest, be ethical. You know, you can't make laws to make people ethical. They're just rules they'll obey or they won't obey. But be ethical. There is a story in the Talmud that illustrates this. It's beautiful. It's about a man by the name of Shimon ben Shetach. And he was a wonderful teacher, but he was rather poor. And he was getting old. I guess his knees weren't doing so well. It was hard for him to walk. And his students said, why should our rabbi have to walk? Let's buy him a horse. So they went to an Arab. They called him an Ishmaelite. That's an ancient term for an Arab. And they bought a horse. And of course, you don't buy a horse without a saddle. You got to have a saddle. They bought the saddle too, and they brought it to Ben Shetach. And it doesn't say how Ben Shetach reacted to this gift, but undoubtedly he was very grateful to his students. What a thoughtful thing to do. So he puts the saddle on the horse, and he reaches into the saddlebag. And he finds a jewel. And it doesn't specify whether it's a diamond or a pearl or an emerald. It's some kind of jewel, something rather valuable. Now, according to Jewish law, strict law, when you buy something and something's attached to it, guess what? And the seller didn't know about it, it's yours. You don't have to return it. You don't have to return it. Guess what Ben Shetach did? And remember, he wasn't dealing, the transaction wasn't with another Jew. It was with an Arab, a Gentile. Ben Shetach returned that jewel to the merchant because he knew that the merchant hadn't intended to sell that jewel. That's what it meant. That's what it means to be honest. Now, you know, the Romans lived by the motto, caveat emptor. You ever hear that? Caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. Buyer beware. You know what? We Jews did not live by that motto. You know, caveat emptor means buyer beware. Nah, Jewish law says not only the buyer has to beware, but the seller too. The seller has to be as careful as the buyer to make sure that the transaction is honest and ethical and upfront in every way. Transparency in business dealings is an absolute must, according to strict Jewish law. And this brings us to what happened on the stock market a few weeks ago. You know that Robin Hood thing, that GameStop transaction we all heard about? It's kind of complicated. Well, Robin Hood is a platform for trading stocks, and it's on the website called Reddit. And it helps people who are not big players on the stock market to buy and sell. So what they kind of played a game against the big hedge fund managers. You know, the big guys, the guys who manipulate the market. Now this is what they did, and when a story comes up about selling short, I always have to go and look it up, figure out what does that mean exactly. I look that up about 3 times a year, but this is what happened. There's a stock called GameStop. It's a stock that is for a company, a retail outlet for video games. You know, kids go and they buy a video game. But guess what? Very few people are buying video games these days. You download them on your computer. It's not a big deal. Or I guess you can get them sent to you from Amazon. Even that's kind of old-fashioned. So they've closed 1,000 stores, I hear. So that company is expected to go out of business. So this is what the big hedge fund people did. They shorted it. Now, what is selling short? They bet that the stock was going to go down. They borrowed tons and tons of shares of GameStop. They borrowed it. I'm not quite sure how they do that. Believing that the stock was going to go down, and they would sell it at the lower price and then return it and for a nice tidy profit at the higher price. That's what selling short is. Now, what did the Robin Hood people do? They did a short squeeze. Oh, short squeeze. What is that? What they did, they encouraged their small buyers to buy up the stock, GameStop stock, and it went up 400%, which meant that the people who were shorting it, they were going to have to pay back the stock, not at that lower price, but at that huge price. They lost billions of dollars, apparently. And these small investors made a lot of money. Now, remember who Robin Hood was? Robin Hood stole from the poor. Or, no, he didn't steal from the poor. Stole from the rich and gave to the poor. And that's what some people cheered the Robin Hood people for doing. You got the big guys. Now, both the big fund, the hedge fund people and Robin Hood, they both are into manipulating the market. What does Judaism? You wouldn't think Judaism would have much to say about things like this. What would Judaism have to say about such shenanigans on the stock market? Is it acceptable, according to our Jewish business ethics, to game the system? Is it okay to manipulate the market? Well, in the Talmud, in the Talmudic tractate called Baba Batra, we read the following. Hoarders of produce who drive up prices by causing a shortage of available goods, and usurers and those who sell, who falsely reduce their measures, and those who raise market prices by selling more than the accepted price. About them it stated, you that would swallow the needy and destroy the poor of the land. The Lord has sworn by the pride of Jacob, surely I will never forget any of their works. It doesn't approve. Judaism doesn't approve of gaming the market. Oh, Judaism is very comfortable with capitalism. You know, supply and demand and the adjustment of prices. But Judaism does not condone inside trading. It doesn't condone short selling. It doesn't condone. It actually condemns a short squeeze, running up the price of a commodity artificially. And let me give you a story. Let me tell you a story that appears in the Talmud. In a certain town in Babylonia, there was a famine in that area. And of course, when the supply of something goes down and the demand is high, the price will rise. That's normal capitalism. That's normal market stuff. And so the price of bread was gradually getting higher and higher as the supply of grain was going down. And the merchants of the town kept raising the prices. There was not much you could do about it. The rabbis didn't yell about this. The rabbis didn't object because that's normal market forces at work. But what the rabbis didn't know initially was this. The merchants knew that there was a ship on the way laden with grain. That as soon as it would arrive, the price of grain and the price of bread would just plummet. And the merchants continued to gouge the people. People were impoverished, selling real estate and giving away their precious items for a loaf of bread. When the rabbis found out about this, the rabbis forbade what had happened. They condemned what happened, and they forced the merchants to return the money that they had got for their inside trading. And that's what it was, inside trading. Knowing something, keeping it a secret, and taking advantage of people. Now, what about Robin Hood? You know, when you hear the little guy, stealing from the rich guy, yeah, it kind of feels good in a way, right? Yeah, we all go. Because none of us, or at least none of my friends are the big guy. So what does Judaism have to say about a company that uses unethical methods to help common folk, the average trader, make money at the expense of the big investors who use such tactics? And admittedly, they use such tactics every day. But what does Judaism say about someone who steals from the rich? Well, I'm going to tell you one more short story from the Talmud. What does Judaism say about stealing from the rich and giving to the poor? There was a rabbi by the name of Huna. And Huna, one day, was a vintner. He produced wine. And one year, all of his wine turned to vinegar. Oh, this is a nightmare for a wine producer. And he was complaining to his friends, other rabbis. He said, I can't believe it. It's never happened before. And the other rabbi said, well, listen, Huna, think back over your business transactions. Was there anything a little unkosher about anything you've done? And Huna, being a man of integrity, a man who was pretty honest, he said, well, you know what? I had a worker working for me, and I suspected him. I had really good reason. I couldn't quite prove it, but I knew he was, I just knew it. He was stealing from me. You know, he was cheating me. And you know, it came time to pay him. You know what? I wouldn't pay him. I refused to pay him the wages I owed him. And the rabbi said, see, steal from a thief? Guess what? You're a thief. Even stealing from a thief is thievery. It says in Tractate Shabbat in the Talmud, the first question you will be asked when you go to the hereafter, when you're in heaven, but they're saying, wait a minute, before you get in, we got one question to ask you. It's going to be this. It's not going to be, did you have 2 sets of dishes? Did you keep strict kosher? It wasn't going to be, did you wait till 3 stars come out on Saturday night before you went to the movies? It's not going to be that. According to the Talmud, the first question you will be asked is, were you honest in your business dealings with each other? Isn't that interesting? That's the first question you will be asked. And you see, our religious tradition has much to say about contemporary life. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. I like teaching a little Talmud once in a while. It's interesting, you know, seeing if it can apply to modern times. Well, I need a little birthday music. Maestro? This week, Jeff Markman had a birthday. And Harvey Rappaport, Allison Reiser, Paulina Vayner, oh, and Karen Badowski. Karen and I usually go out for lunch once a year. Herb Dell, Marlene Rose, Sammy Hoover, whose daughter's going to become bat mitzvah in a few weeks, Andrea Lou Bell, Gloria Heitner, my old friend, and Laura Holtzman. And among the children, actually we only have one child who has a bat mitzvah. Actually, Catherine Wise is actually getting pretty big these days. Let's sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Can we have a little romantic music here? Oh, I love this. La da da, la da da. Candace and Michael Scheitelman, and Jackie and Lee Needleman. This is for you. Sit back and listen to this romantic song from the American Songbook. What's it? Someone to watch over me.
Gershwin. Yeah.
This is for you.
Beautiful song.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So to all our birthday people and our people celebrating anniversaries, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha, Ye'er Adonai panav alecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God watch over you. May God bless you. May God shine a divine light around you and be gracious unto you. May you feel God's presence every step along your journey in life. Very nice. Now we have some Misha Berachs.
Yeah.
Aaron Jackson. Is that Aaron Jackson that we know from Planting Peace?
Oh, wow.
Wonderful guy. Friend of Hollywood Cares. Aaron and Jeffrey Manners and Neil Tannenhouse, Sharon's beloved husband. You have others?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to say a prayer tonight for Barry Meyerson, for Hudson Dome, Dan O'Brien, Katie Irwin, Bonnie Oppenheim, who's recovering, Hannah Lepton, who's out of the hospital, still on the road to recovery, Mike Gukas, Marvin Kastner, and Dennis Noday.
Yes. We turn to the Misha Berach on page 371.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Makor HaBrachah La'amoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Makor HaBrachah La'amoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. The Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
This Shabbat we observe the yortzites of Blanche Elport, Leo Ann's, Albert Avanaim, Gertrude Bluestone, Dora Breen, Max Badowski, Beverly Davis, Sanford Davis, Rose Diamond, Nelson Elgart, Liba Ettinger, Sorella Feldman, Jack Fine, Tilly Foreman, Glenn Freeling, Dorothy Gersman, Martha Gerston, David Goldman, Beatrice Gordon, William Gould, Evie Griss, Herman Grossman, Esther Halpern, Carol Hecht, Walter Kahn, Maurice Kraut, Lawrence Nussbaum, Joseph Pearl, Joel Puritz, Emily Zaslow, Annie Schechter, Lillian Skolkin, Abraham Spieler, Ken Steinman, Beatrice Stieglitz, Claire Taub, Elvia Tober. I just want to say Elvia was a beloved president of this congregation, president of our sisterhood, a lady who loved this congregation, and this congregation loved her back. Teresa Warshawska, Norman Zach, Virginia Zimmerman, and Norman Leventhal, the founder of the Israel Guide Dog Center for the Blind and a good friend of our cantor, Manny.
Yeah, he came here a few times with the dogs.
I know he did. It was wonderful.
Norman was an amazing man. He had so much good in his life.
Oh, he was a good human being.
Yeah.
A good neshama.
Yeah.
The Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yit Gadol,
Yit Gadol, Shemei Rabbah,
Be'alma devarach Hirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon of Yomechon, Ufchayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Yizman Kariv Yimromen, Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Leolam Olamelamaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Tekutcha B'richu, Leolam Minkol Brachata V'shirata, Tushbachata V'nechamata, Da'miran B'yamam B'mromen, Yehi Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yimromen, Osei Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'asei Shalom, Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. Okay, and now Sharon Tannenhouse, who a vice president of our congregation, who loves this congregation, and this congregation loves her back.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I forget, I mentioned there's some people in our Shloshim list. Sharon is going to make some announcements in a moment. Nick, make sure you get the camera on Sharon. And Cantor Sidney Carpo we were in the Shloshim period for Cantor Carpo, and Daniel Elfin and Lauren Schwarzenberger, those FBI agents who died in the performance of their duty a couple of weeks ago in Sunrise. We remember them. Very good. Sharon, take it away.
Well, first, I want to explain why I was still on Facebook, even though I'm here. And that's because I'm here because when my rabbi and my cantor invite me to be, I'd be foolish to say no. I'm thrilled to be here. And we are socially distanced. I did take off my mask for this. As far as Facebook is concerned, though, for the last 11 months, that's the way we've greeted each other. We greet each other on Facebook. So I wasn't about to pass up greeting my Temple Bethel family in the only way that I've been doing. And I'm real happy to have this opportunity, and I hope that in the near future, the not too distant future, I won't be the only one in the sanctuary, that we will be able to come back safely, and we will be able to share Friday nights together again. To get to our announcements, our virtual poker tournament 2 weeks ago, and we would have announced this last week, except that Comcast did not cooperate. For those who wondered, it was the area. It wasn't Temple Bethel. Internet was down. But it was a success, and we want to thank all of our players. We want to thank the individual donors. We want to thank the sponsors and the people who worked to make it happen. It really was wonderful. We also want everyone to please remember the members of our community who are not doing so well, who need help. And we are still collecting non-perishable food. Always, we are still collecting for our mitzvah funds so we can continue to do good for those who need our help. Tomorrow morning, Torah study at 9:30, followed by a Shabbat service. And tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, as Rabbi and Cantor already mentioned, there is a bat mitzvah and Havdalah service. And although we won't be here, we can be watching at home online. It will be live streamed. And for those who don't get to do that too often, it's really quite lovely. So keep that in mind. President's Weekend this weekend, so no JLC on Sunday. The office and the preschool are closed on Monday. Rabbi will be back on Tuesday morning, Tuesday through Friday, morning meditation and intention. Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock, a wonderful class that I enjoy, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Judaism with Cantor Manny on Zoom. Wednesday, 11:30, Rabbi's Talmud class on Zoom. Thursday, 9 a.m., Minyan before meditation. And then at 10:30, the TBE Book Club will be meeting on Zoom. Next Friday, 6:45, we have Shabbatini on Zoom. It's not quite the same as it was in the Rotunda, but it is fun to see each other and to chat a little bit before services. And services, as always, will be at 7:30 p.m. Next Saturday, normally I would not go this far out, but I've got the opportunity, you know. 9:30 will be Torah study again, and at 10:30, another thing that a lot of us don't get to do, there will be a bar mitzvah here. And so if you want to tune in and watch that live streamed, that should be really wonderful too. And then in the evening at 7 p.m., we're meeting out in the parking lot. And by the way, those of you who were not here tonight at 6, we had a wonderful Shabbat family service outside, Shabbat in the lot, and really, really we enjoyed. So we're going to go back to the parking lot next week. We're going to have a big blow-up screen. We're going to have a good speaker system, and we're going to be seeing a movie, Jews and Baseball. We're going to have Cracker Jack, and all of the details you can find in Trending. We do need ushers. We will have masks. We will have social distancing. Please, if you can be an usher, call the office to volunteer. This is another free thing. We're not charging for things, you know?
Whoop, I'm sorry.
Whoop, that's you guys, right? Not me. The Sisterhood gift shop has new Passover items. Please go online to shop. And I'm going to mention briefly a couple of coming events because you want to look forward to them. We're having another one of our challah backs. This one for Purim, and we'll be giving away, Rabbi will be there and give away challah, but along with that, Humintash, there'll be a Mishloach Manot basket. So Humintashin and some drink. You can reserve your place, and then you can come out. There's going to be a trivia night presented by Brotherhood in the next few weeks. There's going to be the first annual Sisterhood Passover raffle, and I've been asked to say there are great prizes.
For the new month.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you need to know is in Trending, and it will be more and more over the weeks coming up. And you can subscribe by calling Jackie in the office, and she will add you to the list if you're not already. Thank you all. Thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Nice
Thank you, Shah. And now the flowers tonight, and these are beautiful flowers. They were sponsored by Marlene Rose in memory of her mother, Gertrude Bluestone, and Olivia and Stuart Kasner in honor of their daughter, Lily's bat mitzvah. And I just want to add, last week, Sherry LePage sponsored the flowers for her late grandmother, Rose Kite, who was Rabbi Jaffe's secretary for many years. So, Sherry, you know, the internet went down, and we feel so bad about that. But, you know, you've brought beauty to our congregation as well. And the music tonight, was sponsored by Laurie Sherline in memory of her husband, Jay Sherline. And last week, and we got to bring in Nori Gluck, who sponsored the music last week, and I didn't get a chance to give her a shout out. She sponsored the music in honor of her daughter, Brianna,
who has embraced Judaism.
That is such a nice thing. Now, you know, we have that movie about Jews and baseball. I was just wondering if our own Cantor Manny was mentioned it. There's no bigger baseball fan than the man sitting to my right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can wake him up in the middle of the night and shake him and say, "Who won the World Series in 1963?
Dodgers.
Okay, 64.
Yankees.
And you can go check it. I'm sure he's right.
Yeah.
Who pitched in 63 for the Dodgers?
It's Koufax.
Oh, Koufax. There you go. That one every Jew ought to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 65 and 65.
65.
They won the series again
They
at
won
65.
Look at that. See?
Yeah.
You could wake him up
Yeah.
Who was the shortstop? You could ask them, some ridiculously, trivial question about
Yeah.
baseball. He'll know it. Okay, let's.
We're going to do a closing song.
A closing
'Cause
song,
we promised
yes.
Bree
Oh, okay.
out in
good.
Chicago. She's watching, and she loved the show. Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Wonderful.
So we're going to do a song, Close Every Door. Close every door to me, hide all the world from me, bar all the windows and shut out the light. Do what you want with me, hate me and laugh at me, darken my daytime and torture my night. If my life were important, I will ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me, keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never alone, for I know I shall find my own peace of mind, for I have been promised a land of my own. I do not matter, I'm only one person. Destroy me completely and throw me away. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me, keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never alone, for I know I shall find my own peace of mind, for we have been promised a land of our own. That's for you, Bree, in Chicago.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us into your home to celebrate Shabbat, and we're so glad that you could join us in our temple home here at on South 14th Avenue in Hollywood. So let's make a motzi together. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And Agnes, I want you to be reassured that I've got a piece of
Richie.
For Richie. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. All right. Tודה רבה. Danish, yeah. Come get.
Shah. I think it's so cute that she was so concerned.